Hi guys, this is Shahadat. May peace and blessings be upon you all. In today's video, I'm going to watch Sadhguru lecture and will give you my feedback after that. So let's start.
So what's really the purpose of life? If you can give an insight on that. Thank you.
What's the purpose of life?
Isn't it fantastic that if there's no purpose, you have nothing to fulfill, you can just live? No, but you want a purpose. And not a simple purpose, you want a God-given purpose. It's very dangerous. People who think they have a God-given purpose are doing the cruelest things on the planet. Yes or no? They are doing the most horrible things, and they've always been doing the most horrible things. Because when you have a God-given purpose, life here becomes less important than your purpose. No, life is important. Life is important. When I say life, I'm not talking about your family, your work, what you do, what you do not do, your party. I'm not talking about that as life. This is life, isn't it? Life is within you or around you. The ambience of life, you are mistaking the ambience of life for life. Your home, your family, your workspace, your party, this is all ambience of life. This is not life, isn't it? Yes or no? You're mistaking the ambience for the real thing. No. Life is important because it's the only thing you know. You don't know anything else. Do you know something else? Rest is all imagined stuff, isn't it? The only thing is that this is beating and alive, and that's all there is. So is this important? It is of paramount importance. Not you as a person, that's not important. But you as a piece of life, it's very important. Because that is the basis of everything. When I say that is the basis of everything, the universe exists for you only because you are, isn't it? Yes or no? The world exists for you only because you are, otherwise it wouldn't exist in your experience. So, in every way, this is important. So what is the purpose for this? See, if you had a purpose and if you fulfilled it, after that what would you do? After that what would you do? Bored, isn't it? It is just that life is so intricate and so phenomenally intricate that if you spend 10,000 years looking at it carefully, you still will not know it entirely. If you spend 1,000,000 years looking at it with absolute focus, still you will not know it in its entirety. That's how it is. Is there a meaning to it? The greatest thing about life is that there is no meaning to it. This is the greatest aspect of life, that it has no meaning to it and there is no need for it to have a meaning. It is the pettiness of one's mind that it is seek a meaning, because psychologically you will feel kind of unconnected with life if you don't have a purpose and a meaning. People are constantly trying to create these false purposes. Now, they were quite fine and happy. Suddenly they got married, now the purpose is the other person. Then they have children, now they become miserable with each other. Now the whole purpose that I go through all this misery is because of the children. Like this it goes on. These are things that you are causing and holding these as purposes of life. And is there a God-given purpose? What if God does not know you exist? No, I'm just asking by chance. I'm saying in this huge cosmos for which God is supposed to be the creator and the manager of this 100 billion galaxies, in that this tiny little planet, and you… suppose he doesn't know that you exist, what to do? Possible or no? I'm sorry, I'm saying such sacrilegious things, but is it possible or no? What if he doesn't know that you exist? What if he doesn't have a plan for you? Suppose he doesn't have a plan for you, an individual plan for you. Don't look for such things. The thing is, the creation is made in such a way that creation and creator cannot be separated. Here you are a piece of creation, at the same time the source of creation is throbbing within you. If you pay little attention to this process of life, you would not need any purpose, it'll keep you engaged for 1,000,000 years if you want. There is so much happening. So much means so much unbelievable things are happening right here. If you pay enough attention, 1,000,000 years of existence, it'll keep you busy or more. Right now the need for purpose has come because you're trapped in your psychological structure, not in your life process. Psychologically, your psychological structure functions from the limited data that it has gathered. Within that, it rolls. And right now, your thought and emotion has become far more important than your life, isn't it so? Isn't it so? So because of this, you're seeking a purpose as an escape from the trap that you have set for yourself.
3, 2, 1, skip.
It is a trap set by you. You can easily come out of it. If the trap was set for you by somebody else, difficult to come out because they'll set the trap in such a way that you cannot come out, isn't it? I'm talking about life, not marriage, that's what I'm… That's what. So this is a trap set by you. This is easy to come out, but that is the whole thing. Why it is so difficult is, now you're identified with the trap, you like it. You like it because it gives you a certain sense of safety and security and protection and individual identity. If you build a cocoon around yourself, it gives you safety, but it also imprisons you. Walls of self-preservation are also walls of self-imprisonment. When it protects you, you like it. When it restricts you, you do not like it. That is why we have doors. We like the walls because it's protecting us. But we have doors so that we can open it and get out when we want to. It doesn't matter how nice it is, we still want to go out, isn't it? So that is how it is with every trap that you set. It doesn't matter how nice it is, you still want to go out. So the psychological wall that you have built, which gives you some sense of identity, which gives you some sense of being a person, an individual person, and which gives you security, beginning to experience it like a trap. Somewhere you want to break it. So one way of not breaking it is to find a purpose. Those who find a purpose in their life, they become so conceited. They will live within their own trap forever, thinking that they're doing the most fantastic thing. First thing you need is balance. If you have balance, then you can climb. If you don't have balance, it's better you stay on the ground, isn't it? It's not safe for somebody who is not balanced to climb high. It's best you stay close to the ground, you should not climb. So, first thing is to establish a balance. Then you loosen your psychological structure. Then it's a wonderful thing. If you loosen your psychological structure without balance, which a lot of people are doing today, see, why does somebody want to drink alcohol or take a drug? because it loosens your psychological structure and makes you feel liberated for a moment. But without the necessary balance, you have not worked for the balance, but you got freedom. Freedom without balance is destruction, anarchy, isn't it? So, first thing is to work for balance, an enormous sense of balance, where even if you dismantle your psychological structure, you can simply live here. Dismantling your psychological structure is an important process because that is your trap, that is your security, that is your stability. At the same time, that's your trap. Because the walls are set, you feel secure, but that's also your trap. If you dismantle your trap, you also dismantle your security, isn't it? You also dismantle your sense of purpose. You also dismantle everything that matters to you. So that will need balance. Without balance, if you dismantle, you will go crazy. But don't look for a purpose, because if you look for a purpose, you're seeking madness. If you find one, you are sure mad. Yes. If you think you found a purpose in life, you for sure gone crazy. Because only the insane people have purpose. Or people who have purpose are insane in many ways. These are things that you create in your mind and believe it's true, isn't it? Right now, fighting for my country is my purpose. Right now, if it's necessary, I will fight, knowing fully well it's an unnecessary bloody fight. Yes, then you will fight only to the extent it's necessary. If you think this is your purpose, you would want to destroy the whole world for what nonsense you believe in, isn't it? Something is needed, we'll do it. With absolute involvement. There's no other purpose. The purpose of life is to live, and to live totally. To live totally does not mean party every night. To live totally means before you fall dead, every aspect of life has been explored. Nothing has been left unexplored. Yes? Before you fall dead, even if you do not explore the cosmos, at least this piece of life you must know it in its entirety. That much you must do to yourself, isn't it? That's living totally. That you experience the whole of this, all dimensions of what this is. You did not leave anything untouched. You just do that. That will take a long time. That's enough, good enough purpose for you.
Okay, so yeah, at the end of this video, let me change the screen, I think, because there are quite a few points I've written down because I'm not very good at remembering things. I'm quite dull person, to be honest, and so but by the end of the lecture I'm actually totally confused, and finding it difficult to believe that Jaggi Vasudevji is actually talking about us, human beings, because as per his guideline I cannot relate to what he's saying. So his explanations, his the way he's defining terms, that feels irrational to me. It could be limitation of myself actually, but I don't know, some of you may experience the same. Let me give you my reasons why I thought that. To start with, he started with the question, life without purpose is fantastic, and where do we know that from? Where do we get that from? And do we actually understand it? Can you actually imagine a life without purpose? If you think deeply, it is actually not possible. If a person just decides not to do anything, even in that case, the purpose of his life at that point is basically not doing anything. So it is, and I mean, you can think of other examples, and you'll find that actually a life without a purpose is just not possible. And then I don't know where he got the idea of God-given purpose. I mean, the question obviously was didn't have anything to do with God or religion or anything like that. So just bringing God into the discussion and then trying to dismantle the God-given purpose, I thought was basically just so that he can continue talking for a bit longer, because the longer you speak, the more chance that you will be able to actually confuse people, because people will forget what was said before. Now, life, the way he defined life is really weird. I just cannot relate to it. If you get rid of your psychological structure, I mean, psychological structure, you get rid of it. What does that mean? How much psychological structure do you get rid of? In other places, I've seen him talking about ignoring your mind. Mind, I mean, he defines mind as the collection of memories, collection of memory only, but that's not true, because mind has intelligence. Mind, or it's basically a part of us. Mind is a part of us, and as soon as you remove the memory from your consciousness, if we can call it that, then immediately, without the knowledge, without the memories, you suddenly will become absolutely dysfunctional, because your intelligence only work when you have memories attached with it. Anyway, that was a different thing. But then the other question is, once you fulfill the purpose of your life, then you get bored. No, that's not what happens to human beings. Human beings always find new purpose. If you achieve one, you go for the next one. So, and if you don't achieve one, you just keep on pursuing the one that you have in front of you. And without a purpose, a person will go crazy. If that is possible to start with. And if you focus on purpose, you will not know life. Well, there is a possibility that you will not be able to explore certain aspects of your life, depending on how life is defined, because in his way of defining life, you are removing everything. You as a person is removed, and purpose is removed, psychological structure is removed. Then what else is left? Just the intelligence, just the mechanism. What value does it have? And the next thing is the there is no meaning to it, and meaning is not necessary. So life doesn't have any meaning to it. That's not how we feel. That's not how we feel. I mean, even if you get somebody growing up in a, I don't know, in a deserted island, say for example, where there is no other human beings, they will grow up to have this the sense of meaning, because that is something that is built into human beings. Now, so we hold on to our psychological structure to get the false meaning and false purpose. And no, I mean, it's just all over the place. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, then you decide your purpose is your spouse and your children. That's never a purpose. I mean, your spouse is not a purpose. Your spouse or your children, they are, you can have a purpose to do the best for your children. Now that is a purpose, but your children themselves are not purpose, or your spouse, they are not your purpose. And then suddenly the question of God, what if God doesn't exist? I mean, that's a quite a ridiculous question. Possible. What if God doesn't exist? But what if God do exist? Grammatically wrong. What if God actually does exist? I mean, you cannot ignore that possibility either, right? And it seems to make more sense that God does exist, because that can explain how this thing, the body, and all the stuff happening inside it, how that keeps on functioning, how that keeps on growing, and why it dies one day. What happens in the, I mean, the body structurally it stays the same, but the person is dead. A second ago, the person was alive, and a second later, the person is dead. So there must be something else, and you cannot simply say the creation and the creator is built into together, created together. The creator created the creation with it. I mean, try to get your head around that concept. It just doesn't work. And then came the concept of imprisoning yourself, building a wall. I mean, we do build walls to protect ourselves, but we always keep doors. And that's why they are not prison, right? So no matter how you put a boundary, how you try to protect yourself, you will always have doors. And that's why human beings, we always can learn. We can always rectify our mistakes. We can update our wrong understandings with correct ones. If there was a logical flaw in our understanding, which, if I understand him correctly, is probably the boundary he's talking about. So we are bound by a particular way of thinking, and then suddenly we come across, or somebody else comes and presents a new idea, and we get to see that idea because we've got a door, we can open it, we can see them. That poses a risk to our boundary, but we always, I mean, most sensible human beings, we always approach those questions with an open door. If they have got something that is valuable that I need to know about, that's good. So building a wall, it can be a trap if you put such a wall that you just don't have a way to get out of it. That is a trap, but when you build something, you always have a door to get out, because as soon as you put a wall, you immediately know that there is other things outside the wall. That's why you have the wall defining a limit. And immediately, as soon as you define the wall, you already know that there is a world out there, outside this wall. So not having a door is conceptually, I cannot understand why would anybody do that. If, on the other hand, if the situation is like that, there is nothing else, you have taken everything in, then there is nothing else. I mean, obviously, we cannot actually get to that sort of a state of knowledge where we know everything. But I just don't understand what he was talking about. You like your trap, you trap yourself, and so you try to protect yourself, but then again, you are imprisoned. And then came up the concept of balance. You need to have the balance before you can do things. You don't need to do the balance. I mean, if the ground is shaky, if the platform is shaky, it doesn't matter how balanced you are, because if the platform shakes, you will not be able to hold yourself steady, because the platform itself is shaky. But you are a balanced person. If the platform doesn't shake. You are a balanced person. So, how does that make sense? I don't know. And so looking for a purpose will drive you crazy, or if you have a purpose, then you are definitely a crazy, mad, or insane person, and you will do unnecessary fight. Why? How does purpose link us to doing all these terrible things? Terrible things. If the purpose of my life is to do some terrible things, then yeah, I might end up doing that. But if my purpose of life is to do some good things, to do things that actually help others, that help the world, why is that a crazy thing? Why? If I stick to a purpose and that gives me satisfaction, why is that a bad thing? If my purpose is causing harm to other people, yes, obviously that's bad. But then the question is, how do we define good or bad? If suppose the God doesn't exist, then if you think deeply about it, you will see that the concept of good or bad doesn't make sense unless there is a God. Because otherwise, all these meanings, good, bad, they are coming from you or me. And we understand our limitations. So if you say that this is good, immediately I'll ask, why is it good? It is probably good for you. It's not good for me. And that's a massive problem. And unless that concept of good or bad is imposed from outside, from somebody who created us, and because that's the other thing, you see, we understand these concepts. What's the point of if the creation is in the creator and creation is in the together, and we came up, we just evolved to become this human being. Where did we get all these ideas, these concepts from? Good, bad. Where did we get them from? Many of these things actually doesn't have any. If you look at the animal or kingdom, other than human beings, there is no good or bad in a sense. It's just they've got their own way of doing things, and they just get on with it. They sometimes kill, they sometimes get killed. But with human beings, we have this understanding. How did it happen? There's got to be some explanation, right? And so just throwing out God, and especially thinking about it, because the question didn't have God in the equation at all, so don't know where it came from. And finally, the final statement, I think, was the basically put the nail in the head of this discussion. To start with, his saying, Jaggi Vasudevji is saying that a purpose is a terrible thing, don't go for a purpose. And at the last line, he's saying living a life, exploring every aspect of life could be a good purpose. But just a couple of sentences ago, you said having a purpose is crazy. If you have a purpose, you have gone insane. So, and you, throughout the discussion, lecture, you kept on saying purpose is bad, purpose is bad, purpose is bad. And finally, you are giving a purpose. So, how is this purpose good? Is it good only because you said it's good? It's just... I don't understand. I see lots of people follow Jaggi Vasudevji, and lots of, whatever he says makes sense to lots of people. But, if you follow the logic, if you try to use your brain, that's another question, whether you are supposed to use your brain, your intelligence, intellect, if he calls that again crazy without giving any reason why that is crazy, and you guys say, okay, yeah, that's true, then I don't know what to do, but or how I can or how you can be helped. But if you follow from the beginning, where purpose is not a good thing in a sense, because purpose destroys your life. You're crazy to have a purpose, and finally he's giving you his purpose, and that's a good purpose. Doesn't make sense. My goodness. Yeah, guys, probably go through the content yourself and see if it makes sense to you, and leave a comment in my in the comment section of this video if it makes sense to you and why it makes sense to you. I need to understand why. Please don't say because I felt it. You feeling it doesn't help me, and so you felt it doesn't help me in any sense. If you have any reason, logic that I will be able to understand, that is rational, that it can be understood by a human being, if you can come up with an argument like that, please produce it so that I can look into it and probably understand the whole argument a bit better. Because at the moment, I'm thinking it's just mumbo jumbo. I mean, he's just talking rubbish, to be honest. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye bye.